I'm remaking a cutscene from LEGO Harry Potter, but by the end of the project, I thought I would have to scrap the entire thing. This is actually a game I didn't grow up playing. I played a lot of the other Harry Potter games, but LEGO Star Wars was the only LEGO game I had. But coming back to play LEGO Harry Potter now, I can really appreciate how unique it is. The visuals, the tone, the way it handles some of the darker moments. It's actually a really good game and it gave me a lot to work with for this project. This animation involved a lot of kit bashing, pulling together elements from different LEGO sets, mocks and custom builds to create a graveyard environment that felt right. I went with Voldemort's return from the Goblet of Fire. It gave me enough good material to work with and I wanted to see my own take on the particle and spell effects. For the characters, I went pretty deep into the customization. I used Photoshop to create custom textures for Harry, and I gave Voldemort his book-accurate red eyes. Peter Pettigrew was an interesting one. I made a shorter custom version of him with non-opposable legs to exaggerate his movement, and make him feel more quirky in the animation. I also had to create a lot of custom textures for him, since I couldn't find anything that worked on Mecha Bricks. For interactions between characters, I used child of constraints, so objects could pass naturally from one character to another. It's a small detail, but it really helps sell the physicality of the scene. Harry's glasses were surprisingly tricky. I ended up making them by cutting up a binocular model. I did consider using Robin's headpiece, but it was just way too big. In the end, I used two face textures, one with glasses and one without, and keyframe between them so I could have physical glasses that actually come off properly. In the original game, the texture just shifts, but I wanted to approach it like real stop motion. The graveyard fight itself was probably the most complex part. I used a combination of particle simulation and glowing blast elements to create the wand clash, keyframing them to form a moving epicenter between two spells. I created a glowing, transparent custom rig Snape and Skull to act as the Dark Mark curse. And for the ghosts of Harry's parents, I built custom materials that kept their facial and clothing textures visible while still giving them that soft, transparent blue glow. I also tried to push as much character into the animation as possible. Everything is animated at 24 frames per second, with a focus on easing in and out of the movement. I added subtle torso shifts, exaggerated motion, trying to make everything feel more alive. For Cedric's death, I used a rigid body simulation to give it a bit more realism, even within the LEGO style. This scene includes the most characters I've had to rig so far, which adds a lot of complexity. And then, the part that nearly killed this entire project, the rendering. I uploaded everything to SheepIt and almost immediately ran into issues. The RAM usage would just skyrocket. So I split the render into multiple passes, one for the main animation, another for the particles. It didn't even fully fix the problem either, but the whole thing still took multiple days to render, and in the end I had to manually rotoscope in Nuke just to place the particles correctly behind certain characters. At one point I genuinely considered scrapping the entire project. I knew that if I had to re-render everything again, it would take even longer, but I stuck with it. And honestly, I'm really glad I did. I've learned a lot from this project, not just technically but creatively as well. My animation has improved massively, and even though it didn't go smoothly, it forced me to problem solve in ways I hadn't before. And in the end, I'm really happy with how it turned out. When creating something, it's really easy to get stuck when it's not perfect. That's honestly the reason a lot of my animations never even made it to the render stage. I think it's so important to realize that sometimes you have to let go of that perfectionism in an effort to move on and continue to grow. So here it is, my remake of LEGO Harry Potter.